The only constant in the universe is change. And I know that we all hear this. We hear this statement, and a lot of us have it memorized, but we don't have it internalized. You see, you have the statement in your memory, but you haven't internalized the statement. And the reason why I know many of us have not internalized the statement, because we have been fooled and deceived by the reptilians, or the draconians, or those beings from Zeta Reticuli. We have been deceived by those different beings, so therefore we don't really focus on the change aspect of life. We want things to be fixed. We want things to remain the same. We want things to basically remain in our control. We want to basically keep a mastery over things. And that's why we run from change. And there's nothing wrong with keeping mastery over things in your life and being a master of your life, but you master your life through information. And you master your life through proper information. And when you start talking about proper information, the first thing that you want to understand is that there is no constant except for change. Change is the only constant. So you have to have the knowledge of that, and you have to know that things are always going to change. Things are always growing. And that's what makes the universe so intelligent, is the fact that the universe is always changing, the universe is always growing. That's what makes it perfect. It's not perfect because it's a body that's set in stone, or it's a construct that's set in stone and it was created perfect from the beginning. It's perfect because of the fact that it's growing. You see, it's perfect because of the fact that it's revolving and constantly evolving. It's not only evolving, but it's revolving. And that's what makes it perfect, is the balancement of the universe and the balancement of the earth. This is what makes things perfect. And you might be thinking to yourself, so what does this has to do with this whole change thing, have to do with the second sun? Easy. The second sun is a part of the change and the growth that's coming. There is a second sun that is on its way to this planet. There's definitely a second sun that's on its way to this planet. The second sun is already in existence, but it's not in our reality. And the reason why it's not in our reality is because we only can see on a certain level or a certain spectrum of the UV spectrum. We can only see within a certain range of the UV spectrum. So therefore, we cannot see certain objects and bodies that are out there in the universe. There's certain bodies right there between the Earth, between our Earth and in between our moon. There's certain objects and bodies out there. There's a crystal city out there right now, but we can't see it because we haven't ascended into that dimension where it exists. You see, so, and that's what, when you start talking about understanding other dimensions and things like that, you can't embrace it unless you first understand change. Because to understand other dimensions is to really fully understand how change comes about, to understand the science of change. You see, this is how you understand the other dimensions or whatever. So yeah, it's going to be a second sun that will be visible definitely before 2015 here in this realm. There's going to be a lot of things here on this realm that we can't see right now that are out there that we will begin to see. And I'm bringing this up because this is how you really begin to understand what it is to make it from the third to the fourth dimension, you see, because we still will be material beings. It's just that some of us will evolve into a more exotic, crystalline type of matter, whereas others are going to drop down or remain where they're at and move into a slower, lower vibration of matter. And those are going to be the people that are going to end up getting enslaved into the underground civilization. You see, there's going to be, what's going to happen is that it's going to get really hot on the surface. And that's what's basically the reason why this heat wave thing is going on, because it's going to get really hot on the surface because we're going into the sun cycle eventually. So the powers that be and those people that control the matrix, a lot of them aren't going to be able to take this heat because they're not eating right, and they're not going to be able to make the shift. You see, making the shift is going to be based on the heat that's coming, and they're not going to be able to take this heat. And since the fact that they're not going to be able to take this heat, what they're going to have to do is that they're going to have to move civilization into the ground. Now, to really understand this, I want you to watch a movie called Metropolis. This movie was put out around in the 1920s, and this movie takes place in 2026. It was put out over almost 100 years ago, but it takes place in a time that's actually about 13 years ahead of where we are now. And in this movie, civilization is underground. You see, they put all of this stuff in the movies. It's just that people don't see it. They don't have an open third eye. They don't have their open eye of Ra or their open eye of Heru. They don't have that, so they don't see it. You see, but what's going to happen is that the surface is going to become hot. It's going to become heated. This is what the heat wave and all that's all about. Because, of course, we know that weather is controlled by ETs, extraterrestrials, and they're manipulating the weather because, of course, they want to rid certain people from the surface of the planet. Because a lot of reptilians, a lot of different beings outside of reptilians want the surface of the planet for themselves. They want it for themselves. So that's why they're turning it up. They're turning up the heat. But then not only that, we're moving into the fourth dimension. So we're going to be interfacing and encountering different suns and different energies that's going to change the way that the surface of the planet is. And that's why the heat is going up. The heat is going up because the things on the surface of the planet are going to change. You see, so they're going to move civilization underground. So that's going to be the particular group of people that get stuck and don't want to raise their vibration. They're going to be eating genetically modified foods. They're going to be enslaved to machines and robots. And all of this is going to be going on up under the surface of the planet. But then you're going to have a group that's going to raise their energy. You're going to have that group that learns how to work with their energy, and they're going to raise their energy, and they're going to go from the fourth to the fifth to the sixth, and they're going to take the ride into the different dimensions, and they're going to keep raising their energy into the next dimensions. We're going to be on a dimensional roller coaster because we have to get to the top of the dimensional spectrum, of which I won't reveal here because I do know how many dimensions there is, but we have to get to the top of the dimensional spectrum in a certain amount of time. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of beings and people will make the ascension, but then you're going to have the vast majority of beings and people that are going to lower their energy and they're not going to make the ascension because there's only going to be a certain amount of people that are going to make the ascension. The biblical prophecies, when they talk about it, they use the term rapture in the Christian science in the book of Revelations, and they talk about it's only going to be 144,000 people that are going to make this ascension. That's what the book of Revelations is talking about when it talks about the rapture. It's talking about those particular people that are going to make the ascension. So change is in the air. Change is in the air, and the heat wave is tied into it. There's going to be a second sun coming. Again, there's going to be objects that we couldn't see at one point that we're going to begin to be able to see. We're going to get introduced to new colors, new auras. I've talked about this before. And those people that raise their energy are going to be able to experience and see these things. And growth is going to be accelerated. Like, for instance, women are going to begin to give birth. This is already happening among some women, keep in mind. But women are going to be able to give birth in less than 9 months. Eventually, it's going to go all the way down to 3 months, but it's already down to like 5 months. Like, some women are giving birth within like 5 months now. And they're giving birth to these like genius type of children or whatever, which I'll make a video about or whatever, within like 5 months, because this is the energy changing. You're not going to have to carry a child as long. Like, when you want to understand, like, to understand the dimensions is to understand time. So the amount of time that it takes to do things in general is going to change. The amount of time it takes to grow and do things and experience things is going to actually shorten when you go up in dimensions. So time is going to become shorter and shorter. And this is why now time is becoming shorter and shorter and shorter. You see, so this is, when you get into understanding the dimensions, this is basically what you're getting into. You're getting into understanding the second sun and things like that, and understanding that we are still going to be matter. You know what I'm saying? We're still going to be matter. We're just going to evolve and become a different type of matter. Based on the electromagnetic spectrum, when you start talking about a new sun coming and new energies coming and getting introduced into new energies, basically that's going to happen because of the fact that you're interfacing a new sun, a sun that we weren't resonating with at one time. We're going to begin to resonate with a new sun. So this is what is really going to cause us to go up in dimensions, is really essentially the heat. It's essentially the heat, which is going to cause our vibrations to speed up. So understand the dimensions is the understanding the speeding up of the vibrations. That's basically what you're understanding. So there is a second sun coming. There are a lot of things that are going to be changing, and a lot of people aren't going to want to embrace that change, and they're going to want to stay in the old world. And I'm going to give you guys a really good example. I don't knock the type of astrology people partake in. I don't knock that. But my thing is this, is that the Western astrologers, they know that astrology is all about change, but they can't seem to understand how it could be a new zodiac and how the Western zodiac is incorrect. But if you were really into your metaphysics properly, you would understand that we are in a new time and a new energy, and all things will be known in this time. That's the beauty in the whole 2012 thing, is the fact that all information is going to come out. Everything's going to come out in this time. It's almost like we're going to go into the Akashic records. Anything that you want to know is going to be possible to know in this time, especially once the quarantine is lifted. There will be no more ignorance anymore on this planet. So why do you think that the 13th sign information came out? As far as the 13th sign astrology information came out, that's a part of the shift. That's a part of the change. There's going to be a new form of astrology that is coming. I'm going to go ahead and put this out here. I really normally teach this type of stuff in my light worker courses, but there's a new type of astrology coming, and eventually people aren't going to identify with one sign. You see, the problem with the reason why people still want to embrace Western astrology is because they're caught up on one sign. Like, say for instance, they believe they were a Leo when they were born, so they feel like they're a Leo. And if they find out that they're something else, like say for instance they find out they're a Cancer or something like that, they're upset because they're locked into that one sign. They thought they were that one sign, but eventually people are going to understand that there are all of the signs. You have all of the signs in your chart, so therefore you are put here to master all 13 signs. You have to master the 13 paradigm to get to the next level. You have to master that, and you were put here to master all of the signs. And that's what people are going to learn eventually, but people don't understand that now, and that's causing a lot of people to keep their energy low because they don't want to embrace the change. You see, like, basically what I'm saying is this: you don't have to embrace the change in order for it to continue, meaning that just because you don't embrace it doesn't mean it's going to stop, which means that the change is happening. Just like it's a lot of people that are embracing 13 signs astrology actually, but there's a lot of people that aren't. 13 signs astrology represents the change. I'm using that as an example. 13 signs astrology represents the change because it's something new, and a lot of people are like, nah, that can't be right, or nah, that's not this, or that's not that. See, they can't see it because they can't embrace the change, so therefore they choose to stay back. So that's how you're going to understand those people that get stuck in a certain dimension with beings that are going to enslave them in the fourth dimension with these reptilians, and then other beings that make it out of the fourth and into the fifth dimensions where it's less control. Because the higher you go up in dimensions, there's less control. You don't even understand and can't even get into understanding the concept of love until you get into the sixth dimension. Like somewhere around there between the fifth and sixth dimension, that's where love comes into play. Real divine love, not this love that's based on chemical reactions here in the Matrix. That's a different type of love that's based on an addiction to chemical reactions. That's what the love that most people experience here in the Matrix. I'm talking about a love that's based on divinity that can't even be experienced until you get into the sixth dimension. Can't even experience that. You know what I'm saying? Until you get into the sixth dimension. So I mean, basically, it's just all about change and embracing it and understanding that you don't know it all, and that you have to basically embrace new concepts and new ideas in order to accept this new energy. There's going to be a lot of things that we're going to see and experience that we have not seen and you couldn't even conceptualize. A lot of people couldn't even imagine. There's going to be, I mean, people are going to get revealed information from different shadow type of beings. People are going to get revealed information from different light type of beings. I mean, there's going to be all type of energies just available here on this planet, and the only way to embrace it is to understand that there is no constant outside of change. That's the only constant in the universe is change, you see, and that's the only way to really embrace these changes that are coming to this planet. We're going to be moving fast, and we're going to remain in our shells, but our shells are going to become more and more lighter and lighter. We're going to experience levity. Eventually, we will take off and ascend. We will get to the point where we get so light. Those people that make it and constantly keep meditating, doing the Merkaba meditations, getting into the third eye opening meditations. Those people that keep doing that and raising your energy and working on it every day, just like you would watch television, or you would work out every day, or you would go to your job every day. You work on it, raising your energy up every day. You will embrace this change, and it won't be anything to you. It won't be a burden on you. You won't worry. You just have to keep embracing the change. You may leave people behind. But that's only in the reality aspect. These people that you leave behind still exist. So you might raise your energy up and you might leave your loved one behind. But that doesn't mean that they're not there with you. They're always there with you, because you guys we're always together. Even when we're separated by dimensions, we're always together, because you got to look at it from a multiverse point of view. But you cannot allow anyone to hold you down and keep you grounded. If it is in your will to ascend, and it's in your life path and in your astrological blueprint to ascend, you must do that. And the only way to ascend is to first understand the concept that there is no constant outside of change. So that's going to do it for me. I thank you guys for watching this video. Until we meet again, I'm going to leave you all in peace.